Good evening, everyone. We'd like to call our Monday, April 24th, Fayetteville City Council meeting to order. Welcome to all of you who are joining us in the audience and those who are joining us by way of television. At this time, we will have our invocation. We'll ask that Imam Bobby Thomas with the Masjid Omar Abin Syed Mosque would give us a prayer. If we could all please stand. Immediately following the prayer, if we could repeat the Pledge of Allegiance in unity. Thank you.
Let us pray. With God's name, most gracious, most merciful, we thank you for our presence and this honorable assembly this evening. We ask for your grace and blessings as our leaders hear, discuss, and decide affairs and matters before them. We ask, Lord, that they seek high, noble goals for the ever-present challenges of our times. We pray that while striving to conclude the city's business, that they are intentional and directional, seeking to arrive at purposeful outcomes. And Lord God, let us be mindful that as we look to become the city that shines bright on a hill, that we don't overlook or look down on those less fortunate ones in our midst, the poor and the feeble. Let it be so that our city staff and municipal leaders find the resolve to uphold the values of sound principles and logic, both which aid in decision-making and consensus building. As our Creator, you made us thinking human beings who are not bound to unanimous agreement on every matter. But Lord, we pray that we will not become indifferent wherein we find disagreement. And now, God, as I conclude, I ask, I implore you for the safety and security of our families and fellow citizens in our homes, our neighborhoods, and in the city of Fayetteville. Amen. Of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Imam Thomas, I know you very well, but if you could let the listening audience know a little something about you or the masjid, that would be helpful. And thank you for that prayer, sir.
Okay, quite welcome. Of course, it's a pleasure to be here this evening. We appreciate Councilman Mario reaching out to us to be a part of the giving the invocation here this evening. It's just a testament to outreach and inclusiveness that we have in our fair city here. So we thank you for the opportunity. I would say that just briefly about myself, I'm a local government retirement, so I understand the dynamics and mechanics of how these meetings work. Of course, I was Cumberland County retiree, so I've been in many settings such as this and for community and economic development. So I appreciate personally the opportunity to be here. And as an imam, as you may know or may not know, it is the person who leads the Muslim community in prayer, the one who's the leader, who gives the sermons or lectures, who teaches the religion and educates people in the religion. So our masjid is very historical. If you don't know, we've named it in the honor of a great person, a favorite son, if you will, a sheikh, if you would, in terms of how these people in his homeland would see him, Omar ibn Said. He's in the historical archives of First Presbyterian Church not far from here. We saw very fitting that we would, since he left Senegal, came to Charleston, he came to Fayetteville, he ended up here. And the story is a very rich story, and academia and historians alike are really delving into his story, his life story. He's the only extant or existing autobiography written in a native, a language prior to the Africans arriving here and learning English, written in Arabic, his autobiography, which is very exceptional. So we saw fit to name our masjid, many would say mosque, in his honor. It's a great honor. He would be proud to know that years removed from his presence and existence here, that we have much to talk about and discuss about his life. So we're very thankful to be here. we're the oldest Muslim community. There are others in the city of Fayetteville, but we've been here. We take pride in being here the longest and very well established. And you all know probably personally some of the other Muslim that are in this fair city and that have come through the ranks of Masjid Omar ibn Said. So with that, I really would say again, thank you for the opportunity to be here, and look forward to maybe in the future coming back. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the prayer. At this time, we have two other special guests, Ms. Fayetteville and Ms. Teen Fayetteville. If you could meet me at the podium. And we have Mr. Thompson. Mr. Darren Thompson will introduce Ms. Rachel, Ms. Fayetteville, and also Ms. Pearson, Ms. Fayetteville Teen.
Mr. Thompson wasn't able to be here.
Okay.
So this is Rachel Townsend, Miss Fayetteville, and Hayden Pearson, Miss Fayetteville's team.
Right. Well, ladies, you'd like to have a few words?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Colvin, City Council members, and everyone in their respective places. Thank you for allowing Miss Teen Fayetteville, Hayden Pearson, and I the opportunity to speak to you today. I was bestowed the honor of serving Fayetteville on February 4th as Miss Fayetteville, and the last 78 days have been amazing. I've had 30 appearances and connected with thousands of people representing our great city. Every title holder within the Miss America organization is tasked with selecting a community service impact that they plan to implement in their reign during their year of service. My community service initiative is rooted in financial literacy. It is called Faithful Over Few. If you would like to learn more about it, I actually have a QR code displayed right outside these doors next to the agenda meeting minutes. And I'm sure, as you all know, 81% of our students in Cumberland County schools are actually on free and reduced lunch plans. Now, studies show that students raised in impoverished communities only have a 16% chance of escaping those odds in adulthood. Through Faithful Over Few, I'm helping our youth beat those odds. Furthermore, I'm helping the adults of our community organize their finances so they can soar above those statistics. As an advisory board member of State Employees Credit Union, I've secured the credit union support in improving the financial wellness for the citizens of Fayetteville. Dogwood State Bank has also agreed to support as they are sponsors of the Miss Fayetteville Scholarship Pageant. I've created budget templates to assist youth and adults to become more financially fit, and my own journey to financial freedom inspired me to create these tools. When I graduated university, I had a student loan balance over $20,000, but through Christ's strength, I was able to work 3 jobs for 11 months and ultimately cleared my student loan balance. Thankfully, I had the ability to work 3 jobs, and thanks to my education and previous experience garnered by working in this great city, I had the skills necessary to acquire these jobs. However, I realize most youth don't have the experience to draw from as I do, because I have amazing parents who are here with me tonight that kept me heavily involved during my teens. That is why I believe our city needs more skilled employment opportunities for youth. I'm aware of the ICON Summer Internship Program, and I think it's an amazing opportunity. However, I think we should have more paid internship opportunities available year-round for youth. I believe we can make this a reality by adjusting the way we operate our festivals. Just 2 weeks ago, I was invited to serve as an Azalea Festival Queens Court member, and my team here, Hayden, was also in the parade. And it was quite a wonderful time. I thoroughly enjoyed my time in Wilmington and was impressed to discover the Azalea Festival generates a $50 million impact on the community annually. And I learned that hosting the festival requires a full year of planning for Wilmingtonians and over 1,000 volunteers. I propose we use the Dogwood Festival to create more skilled work positions for teens through the festival. I know this will require us to increase the budget, but I think it will be worth it because our entire community would benefit. Our small and local business owners would benefit from the increased festival traffic generated by the team's social media marketing skills, and our hotel's revenue would increase because of out-of-town festival goers staying overnight to attend. I'm sure of this because I witnessed it at the festival. In fact, my mom told me she met a few people from Fayetteville staying at our hotel, so they left to go all the way to Wilmington for about 4 days just to enjoy the festival. So I'm sure the Can-Do City can do an even better job than Wilmington. Nevertheless, I want to say thank you for all of your service and dedication to our city. I love Fayetteville, and I love the progress I'm seeing from the state-of-the-art art center that's being built to the completion of 295. Fayetteville is moving in the right direction, and I'm blessed to be a servant and a citizen of our great city.
Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hayden Pearson, Miss Fayetteville's teen, and I just want to say thank you so much for your time today, and I would like to share something that is very important to me. When I was in elementary school, my Uncle Jason was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer, and during the last year of his life, he exemplified a servant's heart even as he was dying. My community service initiative is called The Power of One, and I created it not only to honor my uncle, but inspire my peers to get involved in their community just like he did. So far, I have been in the process of creating a blessing box for the town of Fayetteville so citizens can take what they need and leave what they can. And I'm also hoping to schedule an appointment with Mayor Colvin to discuss potentially creating a community service day for the town of Fayetteville. I think this would be great for the community because I don't think everyone knows exactly what community service is and what it can do for your life. It has greatly impacted me, and I'm very proud of the work I've done with it. And I have recently found out that there are 525,600 minutes in 1 year. So I feel like I have made the most of my minutes count this year already, and we're not even halfway through the year of my service. So I want to ask you, how do you want to make your minutes count this year? And I definitely think through community service we can make this possible.
Wow.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ms. Townsend and Ms. Pearson. Thank you for representing the city well. Thank you for the great work you're doing. Keep up the good work. We'll be pulling for you guys every step of the way. So thank you. Look forward to working with you on some of those initiatives. At this time, we will prepare for a proclamation. If I could have Mr. Art Vardanyan, Regional Chair of the Armenian National Committee, to meet me at the podium.
Proclamation from the Office of the Mayor. Whereas from 1915 to 1923, during the American Genocide, 1.5 million ethnic Armenian men, women, and children, as well as over 1 million Greeks, Assyrians, Chaldeans, Pontians, Syriacs, and others were massacred as part of the planned complete eradication of these Christian indigenous communities. And whereas Near East relief's effort with the active participation of North Carolina resulted in delivering $117 million of assistance between 1915 and 1930. And whereas the genocide has been recognized by the United States House of Representatives, United States Senate, the President of the United States, and over 30 countries, including Canada, France, Switzerland, Germany, the Vatican, and Argentina, and whereas the Republic of Armenia is now a free, independent, democratic state and strategic ally of the United States, and whereas on December 10th of 1991, despite continued violence against the people of Artsakh, a popular referendum proclaiming the republic took place in Artsakh during the process of the Soviet Union disintegration, and whereas the United States House of Representatives has adopted H.R. Concurrent Resolution 75 declaring the atrocities perpetrated by ISIL, the Islamic State of Iraq, and the Levant, ISIL against Christians, Yazidis, and other religious and ethnic minorities in Iraq and Syria constitute war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. And whereas by recognizing, remembering, and educating those about the Armenian genocide, the Holocaust, the pogroms, in all cases of past and ongoing genocide, we help protect historic memory. ensure that similar atrocities do not ever occur again, and we remain vigilant against hatred, persecution, and tyranny. And now, therefore, Mitch Colvin, Mayor of the City of Fayetteville, and on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of April in the year 2023 as Genocide Awareness and Prevention Month in memory of the victims of genocide and in honor of all survivors, as well as the rescuers and liberators, and urge all residents of the City of Fayetteville to promote human dignity, confront hate whenever and wherever it occurs. In witness whereof, Mayor Colvin hereunto set his hand, caused the great seal of the City of Fayetteville to be affixed this 19th day of April, 2021. Mayor Colvin.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and thank you all for allowing us to participate in this great awareness and prevention month. At this time, I'll move to Councilmember Benavente for an announcement.
Thank you, Mayor Colvin. On behalf of the Fayetteville Cumberland Reentry Council, I want to let everyone know that in recognition as well of the National Second Chance Month, the Reentry Council has planned various activities that focus on educating the community, encouraging, empowering, supporting, and celebrating those that are justice involved within the community. To accomplish this, there will be a reentry simulation that occurred today, a testimonial march, and a celebration party. This morning, the reentry simulation occurred. Myself, Councilmember Banks McLaughlin, were able to attend, and it gives everyone an opportunity to see how tough it is leaving incarceration, trying your best to get back on your feet, to get a job, to get basic identification in order to get some assistance, public assistance and other kinds, and how tough that can be when the buses aren't running, or when the offices are closed, or when any myriad of issues get in your way and make it difficult to stay on the straight and narrow. So it was a great simulation. I think everyone there realized how quick and how easily it is to fall off the good track that you're trying to stay on. And then, of course, April 25th, that's tomorrow, I believe. Is that right? At 11 a.m., they'll be meeting at the courthouse to have a conversation about this. And, of course, everyone will be marching over to the resource fair being held at the library downtown. There's on-the-spot hiring happen for folks who, again, are just as involved. And then, of course, on April 27th at Global Impact, Councilmember Hare's church, they'll be having the celebration party that It Takes a Village, just to let everyone know that this community backs and supports folks who are just as involved with getting reintegrated back into our community. That, again, is April 27th at 2503 Murchison Road at 1 p.m. Thank you, Mayor Colvin.
Thank you, Councilmember Benavente, and thank you to Reverend Garner and his team at the Reentry Council. Great work you're doing in the community. At this time, we also have an announcement by Councilmember Ingram.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'll try to make this brief. It's actually a few. It recently changed. First and foremost, Cool Springs Downtown District will host Fourth Friday, and this Fourth Friday is a bit different, where they will highlight the literary artists in the city with a book market. We have multiple vendors, food trucks, nonprofits out there. Second, the Arts Council, Fayetteville, Cumberland County, have selected 4 candidate finalists for the president and CEO. There will be an introduction on Friday, April 28th, at 2 public town hall meetings scheduled 3 to 5 p.m., 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the Arts Center, 301 Hay Street. We would love for members of the community to come out and meet those candidates and express what their vision is for the next president and CEO of the Arts Council. Third, the community-wide Clean Up Fayetteville Beautiful will take place Saturday, May 6th. Bring this up because registration is now open, so you can register at Fayetteville Beautiful to do your community cleanup. You will meet at 447 Murchison Road on May 6th to collect your supplies from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. And finally, my most exciting one, On Monday, May 1st at 10 a.m., we will have the official ribbon cutting and groundbreaking of the Mabel C. Smith Park expansion project, which will feature the new splash pad that has been installed and the community center, which we've been working really hard to bring to the east of the river. This is a special day because at this groundbreaking, once we turn on the splash pad at Mabel C. Smith Park, this will open up the rest of the splash pads in the city of Fayetteville. So wherever you are, if you cannot make it over to celebrate with us at Mabel C. Smith Park, we would love for you to go out and get your little ones, or even just yourself, but hope your little ones too, and enjoy a relaxing time at our splash pads. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Great announcements, great things coming. Congratulations to Ms. Smith and her namesake for that great project. At this time, we also, congratulations is in order for one of our colleagues, Councilmember Courtney Banks McLaughlin was recently appointed to the Governor's Crime Commission. We like to congratulate you. We know that you'll represent us well, Ms. Banks McLaughlin, and congratulations on that. Wish you much success in your endeavor there. At this time, Council will move on to the 4.0 is the announcements. We've had that. 5.0 is the City Manager's report. Mr. Manager. All right, thumbs up. Item 6.0 is the approval of the agenda. Council, if we could entertain a motion to approve. Let's try the iPads and see how things look tonight. All right, it's a motion by Councilmember Benavente. Is there a second?
Mayor Colvin, for the purpose of the motion, I move that we approve the agenda with the exception of item 7.011.
We haven't gotten to the consent yet, so
You
I'll
know
come
what?
back.
I'm
I'll
jumping
come
again.
back to
Thank you, sir.
All right. All right, so is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Yes,
So
sir.
moved, Mr. Mayor.
All right, so there's a motion by Councilmember Benavente, seconded by Councilmember Ingram. Discussion on the motion. This is to approve the agenda. All right, Council, look to you for your votes. Madam Clerk, that's unanimous. Motion carries. Item 7.0, Mr. Councilmember Benavente.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we approve the consent agenda with the exception of item number 7.011.
All right. All right, there's a motion to approve consent with the exception of 7.011. So I
Question.
believe-
Is that to be for discussion?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so there's a motion by Councilmember Benavente. Who's the second? Seconded by several. Councilmember Hondros. It didn't populate. All right, so motion on the floor is to approve with that exception. Any discussion on the motion? You had discussion on the motion, Councilmember? Okay, all right, Council, we'll look to you for your votes. Motion carries. All right, there was some discussion reference to 7.01. And Councilman Benavente, I know you had approved it with that exception. I know typically, as previously discussed, the item that was brought by Councilmember Thompson. Have you all reconciled on what the separate item? Oh, interlocal agreement. All right, so back on you, sir. I'm moving too fast. All right.
We both
Everybody's
did say, yes, sir. Mr. Yates, if you could just give us a rundown of this particular item and what a vote today in favor would mean.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilman. Jeff Yates, ACM. So tonight before you is the interlocal agreement that provides the legal authorization for the county's tax assessor office to collect your ad valorem taxes. And when we talk about ad valorem taxes, what we're talking about is your property taxes. Now, our motor vehicle taxes are collected through the Tax and Tag Together program. As you know, if you renew your tags every year, at that time you pay your that bill. But these are your real property taxes, your business personal property taxes. The agreement has been in place for a while, and what we saw was an increase this time, going from about 284 million, just a little about 285,000, not million, to about $820,000. And the reason that they gave for that increase is as they were going back and reviewing the composition of the collections and the bills, because they provide that billing service for all the municipalities within the community, they realized that the city wasn't carrying its fair share of the indirect cost related to that. When we talk about indirect cost, what we're referring to is the time that the county attorney, their finance staff, their human resources staff, IT staff, management staff, all those ancillary services provided. They realized through this process of reviewing that with the new county manager coming on and the new staff that they hadn't been collecting that from the city for some time. So this is their attempt to try to true that up over time. Based on their calculations, they believe it costs them a little more than $1 million to actually collect our taxes. They're going to charge us about $820,000, give or take. But I will note, these are all estimates, because the way the agreement works is it's 0.75% of the revenue collected until the due date, which is January 5th. Then after that, when their legal team gets involved and so forth, it's 1.75% of the revenue collected from that point forward. So these are all estimates. It'll be based on actual collection, but that's really the crux of the discussion and the reason why they've come back to us and put forward this agreement. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Do have some, of course. And so just to understand that, to recap what you said, went from $285,000 in administrative costs to them to now $820,000 is proposed amount, right?
The increase in administrative costs is right around, I believe it's around $300,000 to $400,000. So the way they look at that is they took the total number of bills, total cost, fully loaded cost of the department, and divided it by to get that initial estimate. But like I said, it's all going to be really based on the percentage of collection, not their estimate.
Gotcha.
So,
All right. Mayor Pro Tem Dawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Assistant City Manager Yates. All right, so did they hire any additional employees? Because it's a $536,000 increase to us. So did they hire a bunch more staff? Is that?
based on the analysis provided to us, they have not increased that
So
staff
no more staff.
significantly.
Okay.
Not in this year.
So then they're doing like a percent, okay, so they put a certain amount of time. Now, used to, we sent our checks, or the checks went to Charlotte, and then they would come back here. So are they still, do we know if they're still using a third party?
I do not know, and we can find out. Typically, that would be called, that's referred to as a lockbox service, where you would mail, and that service that is in Charlotte, for instance, would just open and process the checks and send that back. What we're really paying for is the assessor time, the time spent in fighting and collecting those funds with the attorneys and so forth. And I think it's important to note, as we were talking about this, that from time to time, governments within their local agreements have to go back and true up or reevaluate their indirect cost allocation. Just as we talked about the other day during the budget discussion, what we're looking at in our agreements is actually being able to go back and look at, okay, what is the real indirect cost for the interlocal agreements and what we're providing in services to them and what they provide to us. So I think this is an excellent example of that effort and where they are attempting to recollect or to recapture those fees from the city.
Well, in the business world, we call that a swag. It's scientific, and it's wild,
Absolutely.
and you know what the rest of that is. And it's not stuff we all get. It's scientific, wild guess. I'm very disappointed, and not only this is right off the heels of their changing the sales tax agreement on us, which I want the voters and all our citizens and all our even non-voters to know that we're going to be hit with a $9 million change in 2 years from July. So because they have the leverage and they have the authority to do it, so they just do it. So I would hope that we review all the things that we do for the county, because if they're going to come up with this calculation of 1.75% based on somebody making $200,000 or $300,000, I guess one of their either city or county manager or their county attorney. So I guess we need to review all of our instances where we're providing a service. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Bahandros.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Yates, I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. So previous year, it was $285,000 roughly?
That's correct, and it's been that way for a while, and I don't have the exact date of when the last agreement went in place, but it's been a while since.
And I understand, there's labor shortages and supply chain interruptions, but they're saying to true it up, this next fiscal year is going to be 820,000.
That is correct,
Okay.
in total. So
I want to make sure I wrap my head around that number. Thank you.
So that's an increase of 537 in total.
All right, thank you. And, Mr. Jason, I know that, you're looking for council action. We have Councilmember Ingram, and we'll move on.
Thank you. Madam Attorney or Assistant City Manager Yates, what are the, first question, how many years has we been in this agreement with the county? How many years?
I believe that you have been in some kind of agreement with the county to do the collections for as long as we can
Okay,
trace back.
thank you. So, Madam Attorney, what legal ramifications do we face if we say we were not in agreement with this?
Well, they collect the city's taxes.
Right.
Should we not execute the agreement, then we would have to figure out a way to collect our taxes.
Right. Okay. I feel like we, in this space, we're consistently here lately getting stiff-armed by the county, and I don't think it's a good representation for our citizens, especially with what we're getting ready to face with our budget. Thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Jensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm going to ask the question. If we do not vote for this and we vote it down, what I've heard from the city attorney is basically we're going to have to find a way to do it. And my question is it going to be, it's a hypothetical question, so I don't want, I know that you can't tell me for sure, but do we foresee it being more than $800,000?
Yes.
Thank you.
So, question, Mr. Yates or Mr. Manager, or even Ms. McDonald. So we've got about a 99% collection rate. So you're saying, so basically 99% of those taxes are collected at, you said 3/4%?
Will be in the new agreement.
And then if that 1% does not, it's at 1.75, which is almost 2.5 times the other rate.
Correct.
Are you able to allow them to collect the 99% at the 3/4 and to deal with the 1% delinquencies in a separate way?
The delinquencies represent probably one of the hardest portions of this. As you know, council members, we routinely bring back to you joint-owned properties where we're actually, waiving ownership so that we can do a sale and try to collect the cost. The timing, as Mayor Pro Tem said, is not the best. We got this about a month and a half ago. I did have occasion to talk to the interim county manager at the time, Renee Pascal, and now the current county manager as well, and let them both know the timing was concerning as well as the amount of the increase with no notice. But as Assistant Yates said, we plan to also review all of our agreements that we have with the county, and this week we plan to send them similar correspondence based upon the model that they have here to true up some of the other costs that we've had. We have an agreement with them that we've not modified in probably 15 years as well. And it is time, and they know it's, and former county manager Amy Cannon and others had discussed it as well. But primarily here, there is no other options that I can identify that would allow us in a timely way, in an equitable way, to collect these taxes, to administer a property tax collection system, including revaluation, all of the things that go into a tax collection system for $800,000, even less than probably several $1 million.
And just want to say, thank the county for not making that change earlier, because $267,000 or thereabouts was not equitable on the county side either. It cost a whole lot more to collect the city's taxes than that. And this is an agreement that they've also proffered for the other municipalities for whom they also collect taxes too. But the timing is off, and the huge increase is also off, given the exposure we have with the sales tax collection distribution method.
All right. All right. Council, look to you for action. Councilman Benavente, you pulled this item.
I move that we authorize the city manager to execute the contract.
Yeah. All right. There's a motion by Councilman Benavente to allow the manager to execute. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Hondros. Discussion. Councilmember here, did you have?
Well, yes, and the city manager somewhat sort of hinted to it, because I was just thinking, if you're saying that it will be even higher than 800,000, is it worth an option of exploring another form of a collection agency? Is it worth it, or or through your experience, you thinking that 8 might be better than what you think we would get through exploring?
Based on experience of working in other states and other cities, we would not be able to do it cheaper. And we would have to stand up an entire department, and then we would still be quibbling with the county's values versus the city's values.
Okay.
It's beneficial, I think, for both bodies.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Councilman Benavente?
Thank you, Mayor Colvin. The reason I pulled this item, I know that the city manager gave his recommendation, and we sort of have to, I was trying to get Councilmember Hondros to read this in Greek, an old saying that the strong do as they wish and the weak suffer what they must. And it's just important to me that the city of Fayetteville recognize the blows that are being sent over here when it comes to our sales tax, resulting in a $10 million reduction in our budget. This change as well. As we go into our summer budgeting, we have to account for these things. Even though they're going to come within 2, 3, 4 years, we've got to act sooner than later to make adjustments, or else we're going to sort of be playing, hot potato with these budget cuts that are coming our way. So as sort of tough decisions get made, I think it's important the city recognize that we have great services, great staff, that we want to keep producing and providing for our community. It's just going to be that much more difficult because of things like this that are being imposed upon us, that we're suffering as we must. So we vote on this sort of gritting and bearing it, but nevertheless, I think it's important that the community is aware. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, council, we've had discussion. Motion on the floor is to allow the city manager to execute this proposed agreement. Go to you for your votes. All right, motion carries. Moving along to the next item, reports. The Community Police Advisory Board. Annual report. Good evening there, Reverend Minister Perkins.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, City Council. Thank you for providing this opportunity for us to come and share with you today. Jennifer, I need your help. Thank you. First of all, let me thank the council for having the foresight to establish the Citizen Police Advisory Board. We've had our inaugural year. It's been a definitely growing process for us, and so we want to just cap for you what we were able to do in our inaugural year. board, based on the composition that you provided to us, was supposed to have 9 members with 1 alternate. One of our greatest challenges during our inaugural year is maintaining those numbers. I think we ended up at the end of the year with just 5 of the original 9 members, to include the alternate being not available for us. And so we had lots of learning opportunities. First of all, I want to thank the county manager and the city staff for being available to us to provide us with the guidance, along with our police attorney, Michael. She was great help to us, and also to former Chief Hawkins and the command staff, and then current chief, for guiding us and helping to acquaint us with the methods and operations of policing in the city of Fayetteville. One of our challenges and one of our learning curves was trying to understand as a board what law enforcement and policing in Fayetteville looks like. We hear lots of stuff on television, radio, social media about policing in other cities, but what does that look like in the city of Fayetteville, and what do we want it to look like, and how do we want our citizens to be able to access law enforcement services and make complaints, be heard on what they want public safety to look like. And so through the command staff of the Fayetteville Police Department, we were given kind of an educational process where we were able to ask questions and receive feedback and information, review their policies and procedures on different aspects of policing. And then we heard from several community collaboratives that talked to us about what was going on in other cities, sister cities, cities similar to Fayetteville in population and size and composition, to see what they were doing and how they were addressing some of the challenges that they faced in their communities. And then we were provided with data on lessons learned from some of those cities, and even from our own city. As you know, Fayetteville has not always been the quiet, calm place. I remember as an 18-year-old soldier at Fort Bragg many moons ago, walking down Hayes Street, and it's a lot different today than it was back then. Mayor Pro Tem, you know about that. And so what our PM and our charter brings to the table is an opportunity for the citizens of Fayetteville to be able to have dialogue and to ask questions and to make comments about what they think public safety and policing should look like. And so for us, that means listening to the citizens of Fayetteville. And so in our first year, that's what we tried to do, is come up with some kind of forum, some kind of platform by which we could become knowledgeable about what the police department was doing, and then taking that information and listening to the citizens as they ask questions about and make comments about what they believe policing should look like. And so this year, this new year, the board has made some plans. And so we went into the first year trying to learn, so now we want to plan. And in our planning, we've adopted some goals for this next year. And a lot of those goals deal with being very visible in our community so that the citizens of Fayetteville can have access to us, and so we can hear their concerns, bring those concerns back as a board, process those concerns, and then make recommendations to the police department as well as to you, members of the city council. And we want to also partner with those collaborative partners that we've already heard from, who are doing great things in the community, and we want to be visible with them in the community, so as they're interacting with the citizens of Fayetteville, we too can be a part of that interaction, and we can get a sense of what they feel public safety is about and looks like, and then we can process that information, and then we can bring it again back and make recommendations to the Fayetteville Police Department. We also established a standard whereby we will systematically review on a quarterly basis policies of the Fayetteville Police Department to ensure that they are up to date, to make sure that they're written in a manner in which not only we can understand them, but you can understand them, as well as the citizens of Fayetteville who these apply to. And then we begin the process of formulating bylaws which govern ourselves. And we've kind of patterned some of those after what you as city council members do. And we operationalize member participation and what that looks like and what we expect to do. And then we want to hold ourselves accountable. We want to hold ourselves accountable through Our three main objectives, which include outreach, which includes being active and visible in the community, and then, of course, being responsible to you. That is my 3-minute report to you, City Council members. I yield to any questions you may have.
Thank you, Reverend Perkins. And I know that, you know, a lot of times the inaugural group, you know, has a lot of the challenges. They're kind of like the pioneers who chart the course, the trailblazers. So we appreciate you guys sticking in there. I know it's difficult when you have tough conversations about law enforcement, their relationship with the community, the good and bad, and especially the tone of the nation. So we look forward to hearing about some of the review of the FPD policies that will come back, be presented to the police department, as well as I hope it will come back to council for our review to kind of see some of the best practices that we can make sure that our police department and community are in sync in some of this. So with that, I do have a couple of questions. I have Councilmember Benavente, have Mayor Pro Tem Dawkins. Is this from the first time?
How many people have come to speak during the public forums in the year and a half that you guys have been operating?
I don't have that exact number. I want to guesstimate around 4, maybe 5.
Have you guys reviewed any of the lawsuits that the police department are currently facing?
We have asked for information that would be non-binding, in other words, that wouldn't interfere with the actual process, the legal process that's going on. So we've been given briefings, but not to the extent that it would go into any detail that would jeopardize the litigation.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Dawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dr. Perkin, I was thrilled that you were going to be the one making the presentation. I want the public to understand a little bit more about you. Yes, you were here as a young man, but then you went off for a number of years, and then you've come back. So if you would give us a little bit of history so that our citizens know who is leading our Police Advisory Board.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Yes, I arrived at Fort Bragg at the age of 18, fresh out of high school. This is my first duty station. I was in 3rd or 5th SF as a personnel administrative specialist. And of course, across my 22-year career, it circled back, the wagon circled back. And I came back to Fort Bragg as a first sergeant in 18th Airborne Corps, leading one of the toughest organizations we have out there on Fort Bragg, and participated in Joint Task Force deployed and had to fight, you know, across the water, and came right back here and decided to make Fayetteville my homestead. I'm a native Texan. As the mayor knows, I'm an Astro all the way. And I'm Tar Heel bred. So thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and thank your family for your service to this great city.
Well, thank you. I wanted the folks to understand that you were here, you went and served overseas, and you came back and you stayed. Because a lot of folks, when they're from Texas, they go back to Texas. So we're thankful that you stayed here and are adding. The other thing I wanted to compliment you on is the focus is listening, and that is so important because you're going to be leading your group, the advisory board, out into the community and listening all across town. I want to encourage you to do as many of those as you can because we've got a new chief here that is also on a listening tour, but he's also out there speaking, explaining his leadership. But I need you explaining how you plan to lead this board over however your term is. Because the people need to know you're accessible, because they may not chat with the chief or chat with a law enforcement officer, but maybe they'll come to you and your other members. So I want your members and yourself to be as visible as you can, because this can bring calmness to our city. So I want to thank you for being willing to do that. And I know you're tough, and you're probably going to take a few arrows in the back too. So continue on. When the tough, you know, it's not going to be easy these next number of years. So thank you for your service going forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
All right, Councilman Benavente, second round.
Are you familiar with the history preceding the establishment of this particular board, and what sort of led City Council to want to establish a Citizens Police Advisory Board?
Well, Councilmember, I'm not too sure I understand in totality the question that you're asking, but having been a resident of Fayetteville, going back 2 or 3 police chiefs ago, I know that we had some challenges in our city. I know one of the challenges we had in our city as it dealt with policing led to city manager losing his job, police chief being fired. So we had some challenges, and we had some racial issues going on supposedly as it relates to policing. So if that's what you're referring to, I am aware of those situations. I also know that there are other cities, based on the models that we've listened to, that have citizens who, in some respect, review some of the complaints that are made against police departments in that respect, and then make recommendations to the appropriate authorities. So if you're speaking in those veins, that is my knowledge. If it's something in more detail, you can explain that.
Familiar with the civil unrest that occurred in May 2020?
Not specifically.
And what is your current employment or volunteer work with the police department?
I am a volunteer Fayetteville Police Chaplain.
Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for that presentation, Dr. Perkins. Mr. Mayor, I motion that we accept the report from the Fayetteville's Police Advisory Board, annual report.
All right, it's motion by Councilmember Thompson, seconded by Councilmember Hondros to accept the report. Discussion on the motion?
Yes, sir.
All right, Councilmember Ingram.
Thank you. You mentioned to a question you was just asked that you was unfamiliar with the social unrest that occurred May 2020 in Fayetteville.
Right, specific. I'm not aware of specifics. So the specific
Such
date,
as-
the specific event.
Such as protests occurring, the discussion around the market house, in light of George Floyd's murder. Doesn't recall.
Well, Councilman, yes, I recall those events, but when you give me a date and you don't tie it to anything, I'm not carrying that around with me in my head. But yes, I, along with other ministers in the city, gathered here on the steps of City Hall to ask that City Council take action to some extent about the marketplace as a result of the George Floyd and that kind of unrest. So when you talk about that in that respect, I was a part of the city, group that asked that, the market house be repurposed. But when you say civil unrest,
Yes, sir.
you just give me a date.
No, yes, sir.
I don't remember the date.
I think in a general overall conversation, when we say May 2020,
Right.
it is unforgettable for anyone to forget what happened. And I think for anyone to lead an organization, it should ring a bell like it was yesterday. So it is a bit alarming that it didn't ring a bell to you, or because I think many people in Fayetteville have some significant trauma to what occurred, whether they look like me or don't look like me. There is some significance to May 2020.
Councilwoman?
Thank you.
We have a volunteer board member who volunteers their time and effort to try to make the city a better place on a board that we established. So this is not an interrogation. So if it's germane to this report
But
receipt.
Mr. Mayor, I wasn't
Understood.
creating an
Understood.
interrogation. I was just
Councilwoman, yeah,
highlighting.
hold on one
I would
second.
like to
Yeah,
express what I was stating. I was
Councilwoman, you're out of-
highlighting.
You're out of order,
I
ma'am.
was- No, sir.
Yes,
No,
you
you
am.
interrupted me.
I was
Councilmember
Ingram.
highlighting that if there is to be a
Councilmember
leader,
Ingram.
volunteer or not,
Councilmember Ingram,
in
I
the
understood your
overall
point.
conversation, it should, don't do that, it
Councilmember
should
Ingram,
ring a
listen,
bell to anyone.
We're going to respect the decorum of this office and your seat.
Well, you
Now,
interrupted
you
me, sir.
do not have the floor. You were recognized, and now you're not recognized. So at the end of the day, there's a motion on the floor to accept this report. If it's germane to this report, then we will talk about it. If it is not, if you have a personal conversation with Dr. Perkins, any other of the volunteers that are here, have that on your own time and not the council's time. So we have a motion on the floor. We're calling for question on the vote.
That's fine, I meant what I said.
All right. Those in favor, show of vote. We'll call
Mayor
for the
Colvin,
question.
I had a request.
You've had 2 rounds.
No, sir. That was for the questions leading. Now we're on the motion. Now we're on discussion. So I had a discussion point.
Right. Well, round 2, briefly, germane to the issue.
It's very germane, sir. I think it's important that the city of Fayetteville recognize that after the civil unrest in the summer of 2020, activists called, demanded, lobbied the city council to establish some kind of citizens review board, some kind of group of citizens that would be able to look at instances of police brutality, instances where use of force, police brutality had occurred, and that the people would have a chance to say whether or not this is the kind of action that we want our police to engage in. We didn't get that review board. We got an advisory board. So no authority for any of the recommendations to really be taken. They give advice. Before I was on city council, I would come and speak at these meetings. I didn't feel welcome. I think that the fact that only 3 or 4 people have shown up speaks to the fact that the chairperson at the time was very hostile to anyone who wasn't sort of playing the game of police propaganda. I'm looking forward to this chairman, who I've already seen at the most recent meeting, changing that. So I applaud you for doing that, sir, and making it more open to people. I was a chairman of a millennial advisory board that had a rough start to begin with as well, so I know it's difficult. I know it's important that you're volunteering your time, but I think it's crucial that over the year that you guys have existed, the police have had 7 lawsuits that have totaled over $126,000. And from me having attended the majority of your meetings, you guys haven't really talked about any of them. I find that most of the meetings, the police are leading the discussion, and whenever members of the board have honest criticisms about the last annual report that showed that the only time that we sent dogs to go bite someone, it was against African American men. The only every time that we used force, 75% of the time was against black people in this city. And you guys asked a question, but then you stopped the second that someone in the police department said, "Don't worry about it." And that's the issue that I have. If you guys are going to be the critical eye and the necessary voice of the people, don't just play ball with the group that says everything is fine, don't look over here. You have a very crucial job, and you have to speak for people that aren't necessarily in this room right now because they haven't come to the meetings, but they certainly were out there May 2020 during that time period. So I hope you take this as constructive criticism, that we want you guys to do great work, but you guys are not a propaganda arm for the police. You are here to speak for the people and to make sure that we are actually getting true justice in this community. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Benavente. And we have this motion on the floor by Councilmember Thompson, seconded by Councilmember Hondros. We've had discussion on the motion. Did need to just clarify a statement. Councilman Benavente, you legal mind, so you understand the state of North Carolina doesn't allow a review process, as many of the advocates that you mentioned have asked for. So this was the closest thing that we could legally do without a charter change. So we just wanted to make sure we put that in context. But thank you. Good points. Thank you, Dr. Perkins. Good points. Council, look to you for your votes of the Thompson-Hondros motion to receive the report. All right. Motion carries. Those voting in opposition to receive the report is Councilmember McNair? Oh, it's Ingram. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. All right. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Perkins. All right. Council, moving over to, and Madam Clerk, you did receive that, right? Opposition was Ingram. All right. All right. Council, we're preparing to hold hearings where the City Council formally seeks your input. Individuals desiring to speak at the hearing must have signed up to speak with the City Clerk by name and address before tonight's meeting began. We will begin with a staff presentation, then we'll move into the formal hearing. 15 minutes will be allowed for those in favor and those opposed to the item. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each unless by previous arrangement a single spokesperson is designated, in which case the spokesperson may use the entire 15 minutes. When the city clerk calls your name, please come to the podium. Please clearly state your name and address for the record. You may then begin to address the council. When you have 30 seconds remaining, you will hear a slight beep, and the timer will beep when your allotted time has expired. Again, due to policy restrictions, these are the terms as stated. With that, I will turn it over to you. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. My name is Lauren Long. I'm a planner 2 in development services. AX 2301 is an annexation petition for 1530 Middle River Loop Road. The petitioner is Carolina Sun Investments, and the registered agent is Mr. Charles Horn, and this is a voluntary petition in order to connect to PWC sewer. 1530 Middle River Loop is a 10-acre tract located just outside the city limits north of Business 95 and is the site of Cumberland Tractor of Kubota. For context, this is north of the Sophie outlet and located just east of the Cape Fear River. This parcel, should the annexation ordinance be adopted, will fall under Council District 2. This is a boundary survey submitted by Carolina Sun Investments, and the 10-acre tract fronting Mill Road, which is this parcel right here, is the parcel for which the annexation petition has been submitted. Okay, this is a photograph of the subject property as seen from Middle River Loop Road. And these photographs were taken from around the parcel. North of the site is also under the same ownership and largely undeveloped. East is a private utilities contractor as well as 2 undeveloped tracts. South of the site is Middle River Loop and Business 95, and west of the site is a meat processing distribution facility. Under the county zoning districts, this parcel is currently zoned planned commercial, and the initial request for designation under the City of Fayetteville zoning map is for heavy industrial, which is compatible with the existing use on the site that classifies as heavy equipment sales, rental, or storage. And the parcel being located in Fayetteville's municipal area of influence is already designated on the future land use map and has been designated for uses that fall under the category of employment center, which is intended for larger industrial uses or business parks. The parcel is currently receiving water and electric service from PWC and has been a customer since 2018 when the parcel was originally developed under the county. And this map shows the existing 8-inch PWC water main as well as the force and gravity sewer mains located along the parcel's southwestern frontage of Middle River Loop. The cost for any necessary extensions of sewer mains and laterals would be borne by the developer. And as such, PWC reports that any increase in cost to PWC would be standard operations and management to all extensions of current service, and that revenue would be obtained by the connection of a new customer to sewer. All other departments, to include fire, police, public services, and transit, report no increase in cost as a result of the expansion of services. And the site is also currently being served by the Eastover Rural Fire Department. Now, as enabled by North Carolina General Statute 160A 31.1, the Eastover Rural Fire Department has sent over information for an outstanding debt that would transfer to the city should the parcel be annexed. And that's calculated by assessing the valuation of the area annexed by the assessed valuation of the entire rural fire district. Once the county tax assessor's office and finance have determined what the value is, a payment schedule can be agreed upon with the rural fire department. However, this debt would not exceed the revenue this parcel would contribute to the city if annexed within the first year of paying city taxes. The site is existing and having been developed, and the county does not comply with the city's development standards. But when a parcel is annexed into corporate limits, any existing development or site work that conform to the standards under which it was originally developed would be considered an existing nonconformity under the UDO. This is Article 30-7. So this section would require degrees of compliance based on expansion of the site or change of use. And from the images, you can see that the site does not currently comply with landscaping, parking, perimeter buffers, screening, open space sidewalks, signage, and the barbed wire security fence surrounding the site is a prohibited fence. However, as said, if annexed, these nonconformities and compliance of the site would be covered under the nonconformity section of the UDO. Okay. The petition has been certified as sufficient, and the city departments and divisions report that the extension of service would not require additional resources. Although a percentage of outstanding debt for the Eastover Rural Fire Department would transfer with the adoption of this annexation, this would not outweigh the tax revenue brought into the city. As the applicant is voluntarily annexing in order to connect to sewer as required by City Council Policy 150.2, staff is recommending that the City Council adopt an ordinance annexing 1530 Middle River Loop Road. And this concludes staff presentation.
Thank you. Did have a question, Councilmember Hare?
If you would, good evening.
Yes,
If you would, because I did not see it in my notes here. I didn't see it in the, what was that amount that you said that the city would occur once it came into the city, and how that would be recouped back? How would the city recoup that amount back? What was the amount that, because it's not in here. You didn't say the amount.
So the Eastover Rural Fire Department sent over their declaration of a debt. We haven't had time to work that out with finance. Of course, that's going to have to go in front of the local government commission in order to figure out a payment plan. The amount that they sent over, which I can tell you, is $14,218. Now, the city would be responsible for carrying over only a percentage of that, and that would be as the parcel that is being annexed would impact whatever taxes would have been paid into the rural fire district. But considering the fact that I believe at the city tax rate at .4995, based on the current assessed value, somewhere around $14,000 worth of taxes annually, and whatever percentage that the city would be required to pay within the first year wouldn't outweigh what the city would take in for the first year of city taxes that would be recouped.
Oh, okay, okay, all right, thank you, Mayor.
All right, Councilmember Ingram.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we adopt the annexation ordinance with an effective date of April 24th, 2023. This option.
We need to open.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Yep, let me open, let me open the public
I'd
hearing.
like to remove my motion.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. With that, thank you so much. With that, we'll open the public hearing. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. We have one speaker for this item, Mr. Charles Horn.
Thank you, Mr. Horn.
No, we have no further speakers.
All right, with that, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Ingram.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we adopt the annexation ordinance with an effective date of April 24th, 2023. This option validates the final action taken by council on the initial zoning tonight.
All right, there's a motion by Councilmember Ingram. I think it was a second in by Councilmember Hondros. I believe he had texted to Jennifer. They're getting crafty. That's right.
All right. Mr. Mayor, and for the sake of that, I think it would be prudent, especially for just for knowledge, that maybe we do use our iPads for motion and second instead of kind of.
Yeah, well, we've got it kind of running because the iPad's connectivity, but yeah, point duly noted. All right, so we have a motion on the floor by Councilmember Ingram, seconded by Councilmember Hondros. Any further discussion on the motion? All right, look to you for your votes. All right, Madam Clerk, it's unanimous. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving to item 9.02. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. What?
I'm not.
Oh, are you? No, you're not.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, yeah, I'll have to, okay. Sorry. Okay. My name is Chester Green. I'm a senior planner for Development Services. This item is case number SN 23-001, which is the consideration of renaming Walter Street to St. Avold Avenue. It's in Council District 2. The Fayetteville St. Avold Friendship Alliance entered a request with Cumberland County to rename Walter Street to St. Avold Avenue. The St. Avold Friendship Alliance would like to honor Fayetteville's international sister city, St. Avold, France. The city of Fayetteville and St. Avold, France have been sister cities since 1993. This relationship was adopted by a resolution from the Fayetteville City Council. This is the subject property. It's located basically between the Airborne Museum and the park. There are no actual properties that are addressed on this street, so it won't impact any changes in addresses. The county evaluated the petition. They found no conflicts or duplications with the proposed name. They contacted the property owner, and they were, majority were in agreement with the proposed rename, and they recommend that the city approve this change. That's all. If there are any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Questions from Mr. Green before
Yes,
we
sir. Thank
open
you.
the public hearing?
Right here.
Question, Mr. Hare.
Yes, sir. You just stated that you reached out to the property owners.
The county sends out letters to the property owners. They got back a agreement to the renaming from the Airborne Museum, and I'm not sure, I think the only other property owner is
Okay.
the city of Fayetteville.
Right, and I was aware of that, but just making a
There's only,
statement to the fact that, because if it was any like residential or business owners, that's just something that I never want to support, where it can impact the family from making any kind of changes. But since it's just those two, I got you. Thank you,
Okay.
sir, and
No
I
problem.
can support it.
All right. At this time, no further questions. That will open the public hearing, Madam Clerk.
We have one speaker for this item,
Well,
Ms.
hello.
Chris Johnson.
How you
Thank
doing?
Good evening. Mayor Colvin, Mayor Pro Tem Dawkins, thank you so much. Thank you for having me this evening. Members of the City Council, thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of the Fayetteville St. Avold Friendship Alliance. We are the organization that manages the International Sister City program between Fayetteville and St. Avold, France. Before you is a request to rename Walter Street to St. Avold Avenue. Given that there are no barriers to this change, I respectfully ask that you approve this new street name. There are no commercial or private properties on Walter Street. The request went to the Airborne Museum, that is 100 Bragg Boulevard, and then the Veterans Park is 300 Bragg Boulevard. There's no commercial or residential on Walter Street. A name change will not inconvenience any business or residents. And why are we requesting this? In September, we'll mark the 30 years of Fayetteville official recognition of St. Avold as our international sister city. A small delegation of dignitaries from St. Avold are planning a week-long visit here to our community to celebrate this anniversary. In 1994, when St. Avold officially adopted Fayetteville as its sister city, St. Avold renamed the road that runs in front of the Lorraine American Cemetery, Avenue de Fayetteville. Why St. Avold, France, as our sister city? The Lorraine American Cemetery is the final resting place for 10,489 of our fellow Americans who died during World War II. It is the largest World War II cemetery in Europe, bigger than the one located at Normandy by over 1,000 graves. One of those Americans that rests there is Private William M. Shaw of Fayetteville, North Carolina. And here's his grave. So I ask you to please help the Fayetteville St. Avold Friendship Alliance continue to strengthen our bonds with our international sister city by approving our street renaming request. Do y'all have any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Chris. Good to see you again. With that, I would just stick around just in case there are any questions.
Yes, sir.
And we appreciate that. And with that, I'll close the public hearing. Council, any questions for Ms. Johnson or staff?
Merci beaucoup.
All right. All right, with that, I'll go to Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It gives me a great honor to make this motion. And just a little bit of history. Dad, Mayor J.L. Dawkins, the longest-serving mayor in the history of the city of Fayetteville. And I have said that Mayor Colvin could beat his record, but he's going to have to go, I think, about 4 or 5 more years, I believe. So, and he could. He's been a good mayor. So, but Dad was very focused on relations between the city of Fayetteville and St. Avold. Roger Stansel was very involved at the time, and as assistant city manager to John Smith. So, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the renaming of Walter Street to St. Avold Avenue.
All right, there's a motion by Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Dawkins to approve, seconded by Councilmember Ingram.
Yes.
All right, discussion on the motion. All right, Council, I look to you for your votes.
I would like to say I hope that we could all get to go to France sometime and
Parlez-vous français? All right, let's vote. Your iPad's out. All right, show of hands, council. Show of hands, those approved? All right, Madam Clerk, it's unanimous. Thank you. Ms. Johnson? All right, council, as we move to item 9.03, the 23-24 Housing and Urban Annual Action Plan. Council asks that, as Mr. Cawley presents, if you would hold your questions to the end of the public hearing, we'll circle back to you. Mr. Cawley.
Good evening, Mayor,
sir.
City Council. Chris Cawley, Economic Community Development. So this is essentially the same presentation you received at your work session, but we have a required public hearing. So I will be brief in reviewing the material, and we'll go from there. So just a reminder, the three federal grants we're talking about tonight are our Community Development Block Grant, our Home Investment Partnership, and our Housing Opportunities for People with HIV and AIDS. We get this money as an entitlement, which means because of the demographics and the size of our city, this money is automatically awarded by the federal government each year. CDBG is very versatile. It can be used for a lot of things that help low and moderate income folks. Home is used for affordable housing creation, and that's it. Housing opportunities for people with HIV and AIDS is used just for that, to help with rental assistance, to help with developing housing for those populations, and to help with supportive services for them as well. So how much money are we talking about? So this year we'll get about 1.7 mil for CDBG, 1.1 mil for home, and $860,000 for HOPWA. You can see over time that has fluctuated, but has generally been trending up for the past 5 or 6 years. So there's kind of 4 kinds of resources that we look at here. Our entitlement, which is the actual grant, program income from loans that we give out that get repaid to the city. The match, which is a local match requirement that City Council puts in from the general fund, and then any prior year funds we have remaining that are unspent. So you can see the total here is $8.1 million, which is substantial. Of that, kind of the largest number to point out is that $2.9 million in home prior year funds. And if you recall, last year we asked you all to adopt new rental development guidelines and housing development guidelines so that we could spend this money in a lot more broader fashion. And we hope to bring you a couple of really exciting projects in the next several months to help spark some more affordable housing development in our community, both home ownership and rental. So an overview of the process, in November and January, we kick it off with some community meetings and then put out what's called a Notice of Funding Availability, a NOFA. And then that stays open until January, and then my team gets together and we work over the weekend and put together a draft plan in February. We publish that for a month so that the community can see it, ask questions, and talk about it. We go out and have 4 different community meetings across the city. Then we go to your Citizen Advisory Board, our redevelopment commission. They spend about 2 hours chewing over this stuff and asking a lot of really tough questions. Then we come to the work session in April, which we did earlier. And then tonight, we're here with our public hearing and council approval. This goes to HUD in May, and then we start executing contracts in July with the new funding. So just a closer look at the CDBG, 20% of it is allowed for administration. That helps to offset your general fund costs for my department, so that helps pay for staff salaries, training, office supplies, things like that. 15% of it can be used for public services, which is really, that's the grants that we give out to nonprofits. When we have nonprofits that help with homeless services or with job training programs and things like that, only 15% can be used for that, and we cap that out every year to make sure we can fund the community. Home, 10% of it is set aside for those same administrative costs, and then 15% of it at a minimum has to be set aside for a community housing development organization. And so in our community, that's Habitat. And so we set aside a little bit more than 15% because that's the bare minimum. And then they're also available to apply for other funding as well, but they're guaranteed that amount going in the door. And then with housing, the HOPWA funds, we only get 3% for admin. A lot of that money goes to the project sponsor, who does a lot of the legwork and paperwork for that. So just to kind of review the recommendations here, and I'll just go by exception. In economic development, we've cut that by about 30%, but that's because we still have a lot of American Rescue Plan funds where we funded agencies like FTCC for their job skills training program. And we're going to be coming back to you at the next work session to talk about how we'd like to spend that $1 million that council made available for workforce development. We've been meeting with lots of folks in the community, lots of council members and the mayor have presented us with opportunities that we've kind of peeled the onion on, and then we've got some really exciting programming. But that also meant we were able to save some of the CDBG money just for this 1 year only. In the community development strategy, I funded quite a bit of blight removal last year, so we've got a little bit of money left over in that program. We've been really active with that. The city's coffers actually kind of ran dry, and so we diverted some of our grant money towards that to help keep that process moving with our code enforcement folks as well. So this just represents kind of a reallocation of that money. I still haven't spent as much as I had hoped to, and so we're taking it down a notch to kind of get where we can get the money out the door in a timely manner. That money that we did save, we converted into our housing strategy. We have a down payment assistance program, which I'm sure you've all seen on social media, but we also have two pretty awesome repair programs with Habitat for Humanity and Fayetteville Urban Ministry, and they go out and help a lot of homeowners repair their roofs, change water heaters, replace their HVAC systems, and things like that. In our homeless strategy, we've actually added 54% to that, and that's going to represent increased funding for nonprofits that work with our homeless community in a lot of different things, from case management and street outreach to rental assistance payments and things like that. The idea is to help prevent people from becoming homeless because, as you'll see, as we get into some more stuff over the next couple of months with homelessness and in conversations with the Day Resource Center opening up, those chronically homeless folks, you begin to add on a lot of different challenges that make it very, very tough to transition back into stability. So we want to catch people when they're just situationally homeless. We've also increased substantially our special needs strategy. Mainly that is going to the Vision Resource Center. They've got these really cool canes that actually talk to people who are visually impaired, and so they put in a grant request for that, and we're going to help them buy those canes. So that'll be pretty cool, and we'll make sure you guys get to see that and show it around. For home, again, this is all about affordable housing development. So $170,000 going to that community housing development for Habitat to build single-family housing. We've got a little bit less money in our housing trust fund, and that's because we've got less program income payments. So last year we had one of our developers give us $1 million check right towards the end of the budget process. So we had a bunch more money to spend last year, and that kind of ebbs and flows year over year. We have remove the funding for our home owner occupied rehab, and if you remember on the previous screen, we had upped that funding for emergency repairs. That's because the CDBG process is a lot quicker and faster. We can get in and change somebody's water heater or replace their roof instead of having to upgrade the entire house. And so that makes our money go further with CDBG, and home can be used really for building. With HOPWA, there's a little bit of changes here. I set aside $200,000 to help build some apartments last year. We haven't really gotten a bite on that yet, so that $200,000 is still available. So I didn't want to add to that pot quite yet until I can get a developer to help build some of that. So we instead invested that money in the tenant-based rental assistance, and then we really upped the supportive services. So with our partner in the community, they said a lot of what they're having trouble with is having enough staff to help people navigate to housing. And so this allows them to have some more case managers and social workers to help do that work. So we discussed at the work session the substantial amendment as well. So breaking this down essentially is previously the city was involved in negotiating the sales price and who somebody could sell a house to if we invested in that house as well. We want to back off of that a little bit and put a structured recapture in place. So if they live in the house for less than 5 years and they move, we get our money back. Over the next 10-year period, it goes down by 10% each year. So if they live there for 15 years, they get all the money that the city invested as equity in their home. And so that's a change from what we've done in the past. And so we have to approve that as what's called a substantial amendment. So a couple of changes we did this year, we added an online application portal. It used to be paper, and you'd have to actually carry it into our office and give us a sealed copy. We added constant contact, which is something a lot of businesses use to try to keep information flow and outreach to their customers. Well, our customers are those nonprofit leaders and community advocates. We've started using social media with the help of marketing communications to really push out our efforts quite a bit more. We also held 2 application workshops before November when we launched the application, and they were aimed at youth diversion and crime prevention and homelessness and mental health. And we really wanted to talk to people and let them know what grants we had available and what they could apply for and how to do that process. Previously, we've had a substantial amount of salaries in the same pot, that limited pot of money for nonprofit grants. And so we were able to rebudget that money and pay for it a different way so that we're now using more of that money to push out into the community as opposed to paying for salaries. Housing development, I'm really proud of. My team, especially my assistant director, Torres, and I have been getting up to speed and training a ton so that we can create a housing development engine. As I mentioned, we've got a couple of projects in the pipeline that I think are going to be pretty exciting when we're able to bring those to council and look for approval. So the next steps tonight is the public hearing that we'll have just here in a second, and then we'll submit that plan definitely by May 15th. We've got it ready to go now, and then we'll start drafting contracts so we can be ready to hit the ground running in July 1. So that is it, and give it to you.
Thank you, Mr. Cawley. With that, we'll open the public hearing. Madam Clerk.
No, we have no speakers for this item.
Thank you. With that, we'll close the public hearing. Council, any questions? Councilman Mahondros, you had a question? Is it? You got, okay. Councilman Mahondros.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Cawley. That was a good presentation. Two questions. I think the first one was on slide 9 regarding HOPWA funds. And specifically, I think you had 200,000 earmarked for apartments you mentioned. And you said, we didn't use them last year. You didn't find a developer. How many units would you qualify for your apartment complex?
So the idea behind this was to take one of our developers that does low-income housing tax credits and be able to put a little bit more money into their deal to reserve units for the HOPWA program. And so it really kind of depends. The maximum there is about $95,000, but I was really shooting for getting 4 units for that 200. A lot of it depends on the specifics of that, how that project is funded, though.
Sure. So if it wasn't 4 units out of, say, a 20 or 30 or 40 unit complex, what if it was just one quadruplex that was 100% for this program? Would that work or not?
Absolutely. That would be another opportunity, too, to find a nonprofit or something that's willing to run that. There's not a ton of money to be made out of those rental subsidies, but, to find somebody who's willing to do that, especially if they have that healthcare background, that would be a huge opportunity. And that's some of those examples of those exciting projects we're hoping to bring forward. But I haven't been able to find somebody for that, but that would be a huge opportunity.
Thank you. The second question is regarding CBDG funds. So you mentioned for the services, there's a 15% cap, right? That's delegated from the federal government that gives us the grant, I'm guessing? Or?
Yes, sir. The overwhelming preference for CDBG is for brick and mortar hard improvements in community, but they set aside 15% to do that softer services, the social services kind of things.
So I didn't see it in your slide presentation, but in our packet, we received kind of a list of those partners that received some of the service action plan awards.
Yes,
Do
sir.
you have that? Well, you can pull it up or not?
I can. It might take me a second to navigate there, but yeah, you all have it on your agenda
I
package.
just had a question because there was 2 that kind of stuck out on me on the list. One actually received more than they requested, and one received less than they requested. I was kind of curious why that might be.
So the more than requested was Cumberland Health Net. And so if you recall, that's the partner that we selected to help run the Day Resource Center. And so I'm helping the city manager and ACM Yates out by trying to fund some of that cost through the grant. And so we're asking them to do a little bit more. Previously, we also had our reunification program where we reunited individuals experiencing homelessness with family members that were willing to help them out. That was run by our police department and paid for out of our grants. And so now Cumberland Health Net is also running that. As they're that first line of defense in our coordinated entry system, so it just kind of made sense to bring that together.
Yeah, so I guess there was a few that didn't get exactly 100% what they were asking for, but there was one in particular that was special needs employment that was like they requested 77,000 and only received 10.
I believe that was Miller's crew. Yeah, so generally we kind of put something in place the past several years. So when I got here 4 years ago, we tended to fund the same nonprofits year over year over year. And as we've been broadening that out, we still want to kind of limit the liability and risk for the city in new nonprofits working with federal money. And so we kind of approach that with a tiered system. So $10,000 is kind of that entry level. We're going to teach you and work with you on capacity building, and then you move up to $20,000 and $30,000 respectively. So this is their first year applying with us, and we're really excited to get to know them better and work with them some more.
Thank you very much. That concludes my questions, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. All right, Councilmember Banks McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mayor. Chris Colley, thank you for the presentation. I motion to conduct a public hearing to approve the proposed Housing and Urban Development Annual Action Plan and amendment to the Consolidated Plan.
All right, motion by,
Excuse me. Oh, did we not conduct the public? Okay. Can you amend that and remove the public hearing, please?
remove the public?
Yeah, it would be just motion to approve.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I'll amend my motion. Thank you, council member. My motion to approve the proposed Housing and Urban Development Annual Action Plan and amendment to Consolidated Plan.
All right, there's a motion by Councilmember Banks McLaughlin, second by Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion on the motion? Council, let's try the iPads. All right, so far so good. All right, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Collin.
Thank you, council.
All right, council, moving on to other items. Item 10.0, additional polling locations for November 2023 municipal elections. This was a council member request brought forth, council. The intent was to increase voter participation throughout the city. As you know, our city has grown over the years, and one early vote site is quite difficult for people to travel from the western parts of the city to vote. So to encourage more voter participation, I asked council to consider adding an additional site. We talked about it last year, but we were beyond the deadline for the special election, so it's before us again. Although the report mentions or lists a number of sites, the goal was not to include all of them, but just the highest, most utilized sites. So with that, we'll look at it. I'm not sure there's any staff presentation, but we've certainly discussed it at the work session, and it's before us tonight. Any comments, questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Go to Councilmember Hare and then Ingram.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. As we all probably up here know, the highest number of vote getter is Cliffdale Recreation Center. So I would be in support of also adding that as one additional site along with the Board of Election office now.
All right, Councilman, is that a motion, or are you making a statement, or?
Well, I was just putting it up for
Okay,
discussion,
all
but
right.
yes, sir, I can, I thought
Well,
we were
I've got
open for
Councilmember
discussion.
Ingram, I think, for that. If there are no other questions or
Come
comments.
back around, I will make that for a motion.
All right, you had a question? Okay, Councilmember Ingram.
Mr. Mayor, I was prepared to make the motion, but if Councilmember Hare is set for, it was going to be for Cliffdale. He can go ahead and make the motion. I'll second.
All right, Councilmember Hare, you want to formally do the honors,
Yes, sir. Mayor, I move that we add voting site Cliffdale Recreation Center as our upcoming additional polling site with the early voting site with the Board of Elections.
All right, it's a motion by Councilmember Hare, seconded by Councilmember Ingram. Discussion, Councilmember Jensen.
So I apologize, I didn't realize that was going to happen so quick, but, well, when we look at the graph here, if you look at College Lakes, on one of the graphs for, it had 13,100 people at Cliffdale, and you had 13,041 at College Lakes. So, you know, those are the two that are really significant. So I would ask that you amend, if you're going to do Cliffdale, then we need to look at College Lakes. And, you know, it keeps moving through there. Cliffdale had 4,500, and North Regional Library had 3,300, but nobody else had anything close to it. So
So you're looking at okay,
I see the one she's speaking.
okay, you're looking for November's,
Yeah, I was
one was
looking
the
at May,
primary
and then
data,
I'm
one
looking-
was
I'm sorry,
November.
and I'm looking at May, and, there, it's right intact. I know that there's a lot more in Cliffdale, and it's further away, but
Right.
the numbers they're there. I mean, numbers don't lie.
Mayor Colvin?
Sure.
I'll just ask to speak as well. The numbers drop off pretty substantially if you look at the primary in 2022. However, I think we're all trying to be prudent with our funds, especially considering how much we're losing to the county. So I would caution us trying to open up too many early voting locations. I think we all agree on Cliffdale. I think going beyond that, then we start kind of getting quite expensive without much return.
How much is it?
28,000 per.
Per site.
All right, any other
Pretty
discussion?
Significant numbers.
All right, any other discussion on the motion that's on the floor? All right, council, look to you for your votes.
Well, just to clarify, sir, it sounds like that amendment wasn't accepted.
No, sir.
So the motion on the floor is for the addition of Cliffdale. All right, all right. All right, so we're voting again, guys. Council, show of hands. Those in favor? All right, Madam Clerk, it's unanimous. All right, moving to item 10.02. Council, as you know, this item was before us. We had the public hearing. We heard from a number of citizens regarding the proposed amendments to the city charter. As you know, there are three available options. One, if the council was legally able or is legally able to make the change. Option two, they could. There will be a process to amending and changing the charter. Option two be to place the item on the ballot for referendum to let the voters decide. Or option three would be to table the item with no action. So council, I look to you. I think Councilmember Thompson, look to you.
Yes, sir, Mr.
This
Mayor.
time.
Thank you for acknowledging me. I would make a motion that we do not move forward with the change of the charter to move our terms from 2 years to 4 year staggered terms.
All right, so motion by Councilmember Thompson, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Dawkins. Discussion on the motion. Councilmember Benavente.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe the folks who came and spoke on April the 10th made it very clear that they want to see this matter placed on the ballot so that they can be the ones to say whether they want to extend terms or keep them at 2 years. I think by passing this particular motion, we're once again taking away the voice of the people and an opportunity for them to have the final say on this matter. 1 month ago, 8 members of the City Council, excluding myself and Ms. Jensen, resolved to intend to amend the city charter. And that's a big deal. Our city charter is something that is essentially our Constitution. And when the vast majority of this council decided to go down that road, they stirred the pot with this community. And we saw 30 different folks come out and speak. And now I feel as though the interested party or parties for this particular amendment are trying to scurry away from the voice of the people. So if we're going to start this process and stir this pot, have your soup too. Put this on the ballot, let the people decide for themselves what they want to do. I think it's a mistake to take away the voice of the people at this juncture. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Benavente. And Madam Attorney, the process, again, a lot of false information was given about the process. In order to begin the process to bring us to this point, it started with the public hearing, which started with the resolution that was referenced in the comments a moment ago. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So that was the pathway to bringing this to the citizens. The citizens came out, responded, the process worked. But in order to do the process, there's been a lot of misinformation about whether council voted to support it, to do it, to put it on the ballot. We explained that during the public hearing. Citizens obviously understood. And again, 30 citizens who spoke, we appreciate them, but that, we have a community of 200,000+. But at the end of the day, if I recall, there was a lot of passion about whether they believed in the change, and if the change was going to be made, they wanted to make the decision. I didn't hear that they wanted the item to be placed on the ballot. In fact, some articulated very clearly that you have a lot of work that you need to be concentrating on. Where did this item come from? Where did this action come from? And there was a lot of explanation in response to that question from Councilmember Thompson and others trying to explain the genesis behind the conversation. But I didn't hear citizens stand up time and time again, nor those who've reached out in other means to say, put this item on the ballot so that I can do it. So it's important that we make sure that we're articulating, I know we all have our interpretation, but that we're articulating kind of how we got here, where we are at this point. And the motion on the floor from Councilmember Thompson at this time is to table the item. So any other discussion on the motion?
Yes, sir, thank
I
you.
agree with you too, Mayor.
All right, so I have Mayor Pro Tem Dawkins, then I have Ingram, and thought I saw Benavente. All right. Be second round if there are no other initial.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What, in a sense, we're doing with this is we're killing it. We're not going to move it to a referendum. The people have spoken years ago, 3 or 4, I can't remember how many years ago now, but we want to, in effect, table it. The referendum's been had years ago. There's not support, I don't believe, to take it to a referendum, but we'll see. But I'm going to vote in favor of, in effect, tabling it, killing it. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Ingram.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I probably went back and watched the public hearing about 3 times, just to ensure that I was understanding the citizen base correctly, and also taking notes, which I tend to do quite frequently with council meetings. And perspective is everything. Interpretation is everything. Each person perceives something to be different. And so my perspective of what I understood from the citizen base that did participate in the public hearing, and there were 2 large outcomes from that meeting that I gathered, and then a side one as well that did come up here and there. What I did gather was you had citizens of a majority that did request for it to go on the ballot. Secondly, you also had citizens inquire about term limits. And then also as a one-off that came up in terms of when you mentioned asking about, there are other things that we could be working on. The Office of Community Safety came up in conversation as well. But the 2 large outcomes from that meeting were very clear, which was 1, to put it on the ballot, and then also an inquiry about term limits. That is what I gathered from that meeting, the 3 times that I did go back and watch and take notes. And I would just, as a steward of this body, if we wanted to put it out to the residents to hear what they said, I do think it's just that we at least answer, what they did ask of us. Thank you. And I did talk to Board of Elections last week, and the deadline to put this on the ballot would be July.
Thank you. And just a note from legal department that term limits, although that was mentioned by a few people in the conversation, are not permissible under the current law. So that's not a part of the proposal that was brought. So round 1, Councilmember Hondros, and then round 2 will be right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we all sat here and listened to the 40-plus speakers, residents come and speak to us on this topic. I'm just confused in that if it had merit to move to 4-year staggered terms before, while all of a sudden doesn't have merit now. So I think, as other council members before me have mentioned, we could each gather different little tidbits and instruction what the residents are telling us. But I think the overwhelming theme was that many of them were not happy we were considering 4-year terms, and that if we were going to do it, we needed to put it to them in the way of a ballot referendum. So I think to kill it now is a cop-out. If anything, if they weren't happy with it, they want to kill it by voting it down, and now you're taking that away from them. So I'm just kind of confused. If it was not a good idea, then why do we bring it up to begin with? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Hondros. Councilmember Jensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to be put on record. I am not going to be supporting taking it to a referendum. I think that we spent a lot of time and a lot of energy 5 years ago, and overwhelmingly the public told us no. We came back, we brought it up, they came to us, and they said no again. I don't know if you've got the emails that I got or you got the phone calls I got, but my phone was blowing up and my emails were off the hook. I know that my district has told me very loud and very clear that they are not in favor. I am ready to move on and start doing the city's business. So that is my thoughts. So when I do not vote for it, I do not want to see in the paper tomorrow, Councilmember Jensen voted not to take it to the people. I've heard from my constituents, and they have been loud and clear. Thank you.
Mr. Kirby, your pen working properly back there? Thank you. All right, Councilmember Benavente.
2 minutes. We'll have to look at the policies again.
Yeah, Councilman Benavente.
In the meantime, I think Councilmember Jensen has a right to say what she said because she was one not to want to waste time to begin with. 8 people on this council, unfortunately, wanted to play this game, and now that it didn't go the way that they wanted to, I think trying to back away from it now is something that the people should be aware of. If you're assuming the outcome of the referendum vote based on the commentary of the people who came, you would have voted not to proceed with any of this effort to begin with. From our dinner meeting, it was clear to me that the person who proposed this still believes that we should go to 4-year terms and probably still believes we should vote on it unilaterally. I think that if they made that motion now, it wouldn't pass, and that's a very political move. I think that if nothing else, we've got another politician here on city council considering this very political move that we're making to try and sweep this under the rug to avoid repercussion from the people and their vote.
Thank you. Council, we have a lot of business at hand. I mean, in talking about political moves, it's political to manufacture controversies. But I didn't have a dog in the fight because I was not included in the pro or nay. What was clear is that we've got a process of public hearings, which we had 3 tonight, and the purpose is to open it up for the people to tell us what they think about whatever item we're deciding on. We did it. So how good of stewards will we be not to listen to what you heard? Either those people who spoke, those people who sent emails, and those people who said it. Overwhelmingly, they said, I don't like the idea that you're discussing, except the few that did. And so at the end of the day, both scenarios accomplishes that goal not to do it. Not to do it whether you asked them to vote on it or not, or you listen to what they said and to pull the item altogether. And if you want it reintroduced and to go to the ballot, then reintroduce it, council member. But let's not manufacture controversy when there's really not one, because we've got a lot of important work to do. And to say that there's political maneuvering by 8 people is disingenuous, and it's just not the case. So, Councilmember Hondros, you had a second round?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In the spirit of inclusion, we pointed out one reporter, so Mr. Ben is here as well. Wave, Mr. Ben. All right.
We want to be fair. Mr. Ben, your pen working properly? All right.
And
All
we
right,
have
so
Miss
Council-
Lexi from Fayetteville Observer here, if we're gonna.
And Lexi, your pen working properly? All right, all pressed. We hope your pen's working properly. All right, so council, we've had a couple rounds of discussion, have a motion on the floor by Councilmember Thompson. It was seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Dawkins.
Mr. Mayor, can you repeat the motion just for the sake of, thank you, record?
The motion is, Councilmember Thompson, can you repeat it?
The motion is not to move forward with the changing the charter to 4-year staggered terms.
All right, that's the motion. Council, look to you for your votes. And the motion is to remove, which means that your vote in affirmative, because I heard you say not to move, so sometimes that negative motion moves, it gets a little confusion. So to vote in favor of this is to pull this item off, to table it, in effect, okay? Is everybody clear on that? All right. All right. Motion carries 9-1. Those voting in opposition was Benavente. All right.
Mr. Mayor, really quickly, we're done with this item, but just really quick, I forgot to say it during the announcements. There's I guess, a railroad issue in the country club area, and staff did put out a press release, but just wanted to announce that I think this coming Wednesday, they'll be out there doing work. Individuals are getting injured in their own vehicle going over this road, but there will be work continuing on that, and if there is a link on our website, on our Facebook, where you can go and report any damage that is incurred to your vehicle or yourself.
Thank you.
Motion adjourned.
All right, I have a good evening.